Okay. Hello, welcome to the brand called You. Today we are speaking with Sanjeev Vinayak. Sanjeev was educated at University of Southern New Hampshire and then Pace University. He spent several years at firms like Cozy Shack and other food brands managing operations and supply chain. He's now co-founder and managing partner of VG Growth Partners, which helps create leading food brands. He has been an activist on many issues in town, like the marijuana dispensary, the ordinance for the restaurants as principal use, gate at the Canoe Brook, and several other issues of interest to the township. Sanjeev and his wife Shirin live with their two children in our town, and welcome to the conversation, Sanjeev.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, well, let's get started. First of all, in your profile, Sanjeev, I did not see much about your early life. Tell us, where were you born? Where did you grow up? And how did you end up in this part of the state and country?
Sandeep, first of all, appreciate you taking the time and getting us over. Some people say we took too long to come on this. Some people say, hey, you're doing this. Why are you doing this? But guess what? All the part of the campaign, and I'm actually really happy to know you and to talk to you today. I grew up in India in a state called UP for my elementary school. So I did my 5th grade in Dhampur. It's close to Haridwar. Then I moved to do my middle school and high school, or part of high school, in a boarding school, army school called Sainik School, Kapurthala in Punjab, where I, from not so good boy, then became really a disciplined boy and matured, or at least the responsible kid. After my 10th grade in Sainik School Kapurthala, I did 11th and 12th in DAV College, Chandigarh. Because I got good grades, I wasn't interested in joining the army at that time. I wanted to do something else. After my 12th grade, I did my undergrad first in Mumbai, India, doing my hotel management from IHM Mumbai. 3 years there, 1 year of work in the hotel industry in Mumbai itself. I transferred credits and went to University of Southern New Hampshire, where I did my Bachelor's of Science in Hospitality Management. And then after doing that, I did my internship at Stamford Marriott in Connecticut. After that, I made my way to New York City. I did my Master's of Information Systems from Pace University, changed my line, and started working first in a corporate training firm called Holt Learning. 4 years there in Manhattan. Then I spent about 8 years at a company called Cozy Shack. It's a pudding company. We only had two kind of customers. One who would ask, what is Cozy Shack? And the second who would say, oh, I love Cozy Shack. No one will be in the middle. Big companies, they tried to kind of override us, and they were not successful. 2012, and it was a family-owned business, about $200 million revenue. We sold it to a company called Land O'Lakes in 2012. After which I joined a company called Hain Celestial. If you know veggie sticks, Earth's Best baby food, Terra chips, Sensible Portion, a lot of Garden of Eden chips. If you go to Whole Food and pick any of the thing up, Spectrum Oil, and look behind it, it'll be called Hain Celestial. So it was a conglomerate of $2.2 billion at that time, publicly traded company. I worked there for about 6 months, small stint. It was further up in Long Island, and I wanted to be in Jersey. So I joined a company called Popcorn Indiana, where I met my second partner. He came from Goldman. Goldman backed the company Popcorn Indiana. I was there for 2.5 years. And then I joined my previous boss from Cozy Shack, because he was spending or investing money in medical marijuana in New York State.
Mhm.
Uh, about a year and a half working on that particular project, I got him introduced to my previous boss at Popcorn, Indiana. And three of us got together and started a fund, which you just mentioned about VG Growth Partners. So that's how we are all from food companies. So we invest in allergen-free, plant-based food. And that is our way of or our focus on investing money. Over the past 5 years, we have invested in a few brands from minority investment to majority. Now, this year or last year, we actually ended up buying those three brands. And the other two brands, one we got out of, the other one we are in the uh, still in a very minority position. We're going to see what we're going to do there. So that's
Fantastic. So a kind of a classic American story, first generation immigrant, and built up a business successfully, and gratifying to hear that you have maintained your partnerships and are working with two of your prior bosses as your partners now. What does VG Growth Partner do? What would be an example of kind of investment you'd make? And for example, could you tell us maybe one of the recent deals or transactions or brands that you have backed?
sure. So we invest in a company called Hillary's Veggie Burger. It's out of Kansas. It's vegan. It's gluten free. So our all our products are top 8 allergen free. They're out of no egg, no milk, no dairy, gluten free, tree nut free, peanut free. So our veggie burgers are truly veggie burgers. They don't have soya based. Soya is another allergen. Then second brand, if you may have heard, we have Sun Butter cups instead of Justin peanut butter cup or Reese's peanut butter. Peanut is an allergen. We sell similar cups, but that's with the Sun Butter paste. So it's school
Okay.
friendly, school safe, so kids in schools can eat it without thinking too much about it. 15 million people in the US are allergic to some or the other stuff. And because of those 15 million people, there are about 50 million people buying stuff for their kids to be allergen free. So if one kid can be allergen or allergic to something, my whole household will become allergen free. So that's our niche, and that's where we focus on. And then there's third
So
brand called it's Crunchers. It's mung bean sprouted, fried. It's health or it's healthy, but yeah, it's like chips.
that's quite a journey from those delicious but somewhat heavy rice pudding. You were going into mung bean sprouted. That's quite a journey.
So again, we believe in food, a tasty food. So when I say sprouted, it's sprouted, but then it's fried. It has protein, but it has good fat there too. And if you go back to Cozy Shack, one thing that never ever any company could have beaten us was on the taste and the simple and natural ingredients in there. We only have like you could count on your fingertips rice, milk, vanilla, three, four ingredients. So it's not more like a jumble list. So that time and this time, still we have our integrity still there.
Got it. Um, the journey from India to coming here for undergrad, then grad, and then working in these companies. How does now going into public service or standing for a township, how does that fit into that journey? Is there a theme in you have been active in some of the issues in township? Help us understand what motivates you. What motivates you to take on some of these tasks and now put up your hand to say, I would want to do more for the township?
So Sandeep, I'm a simple person. There is nothing I know. There are a lot of people in India. They have this nag of doing something, and they will keep doing that same thing in their lifetime. They will be completely accomplished. And to me, Wherever I go, whatever I get, I need to just make sure I do it with whole heart, sincerity, and make sure I accomplish something in there. So going back to hospitality first, I got Bill Tiefel Award. I worked in Marriott for 9 months as an intern. And Bill Tiefel Award is where your platinum guests write something about you for a couple of times to the headquarters, and they give you that award. As a job, you can do your job, but you need to do it with your heart and with your soul in it. That's what we did there. If you think about us running these businesses, anything I can do, if I don't do it with heart and mind, it's all service. It's what is in your mind, how you're taking your work as. If you take your work as you're the boss, then you can still do the work. But if you in your mind you're just facilitator, there's a team that is working, there are specialists that are working there. You're making sure you're giving them vision and facilitating their tasks to make sure their goals are achieved. When your people achieve those goals, your goals will automatically be achieved. So where we have our uh, fund, we were thinking of actually becoming EBITDA positive 3 years from now. Since you run a fund, you would know it too. I think we are getting there at the end of this year or first quarter next year. And that's nothing that we have done. It is all our team that has done. All we try to do is just facilitate that to make sure they keep doing what they're doing and their heart and soul is in there. So I think
Okay.
nothing has changed from work to our village. It's all the same. If I do something here, I have to see making a difference, whether that's work or my own town.
Okay. Um, Now, changing that around a little bit, obviously you mentioned about this fantastic platinum award that you got at Marriott. Congratulations for that.
Thank
But
you.
tell us about in time or event where something didn't work out as per the plan, and how did you deal with it?
It happens every day. So in 2012, a big one, I'll tell you, we opened up
Mhm.
a restaurant in Jersey City. Being from hotel industry, I thought I knew it all and I thought I'll do it all. But we forget when we are in corporate world, it's so easy to make money or easier to make money versus in the retail industry. It's very difficult. Um, and within 6 months, I sold the business. So two things I did right. One was I opened it up with a partner, so I lost half the money. Second, thankfully, I was able to sell that business to someone, so it was a little less loss. But guess what? Things always happen. You have to just learn from it. Learn the best what you. The thing is, you should not repeat your mistake over and over again. You will always learn from failure. And I think learning from failure firsthand gives you even more strategy in your head to be successful next time. It's all good.
So, yeah, roll with the punches and became stronger from it. Um, Tell us maybe a instance or time where you were sure that you knew something, but then you learned something new and ended up changing your mind and grew with whatever you learned. Can you tell us an instance like that?
You know, I feel every person behaves or work in the way they learn from their own experience. But when you go, say, for example, when I go with my kids out to play or to do something, and when I talk to them, I think I'm teaching them or I think I'm giving them constructive feedback. And then suddenly you hear back something completely new.
Mhm.
Your kids are way too smart than you think you are. I'm not saying to you, but seriously,
Well,
it,
applies to all of us.
it is phenomenal how the new generation thinks out of the box. And my son comes to us, me and my wife says, I think going to school is a waste of time. And we were dumbfounded, like, really? What are you talking about? Said, no, you're spending 8 hours on the same thing over and over and over again. Whereas in 8 hours, you could be thinking outside the box, do something new. So his way of saying things wasn't wrong, but
Mhm.
there is
Did that
something
make
to
you
it.
change your mind about whether you should go to school or not?
Well, you can only do so much to people. When they get matured, you have to convince them. And my wife does a tremendous job there. So
How
she
old
was
are
able
your
to
kids?
convince him back. But I do that all the time at work. There are a lot of people have a lot of experience. I consider myself to be a learner in that group. So when I go in there and when they are working, making the work efficient, when I say something to them and they show me something different, I have to go with them. And most of the time, I go with them. Even if they fail once in a while here and there, I have to be a bigger person, making sure that they learn from their mistake and they go from there. So you have to give everyone a chance.
Okay. Um, some quick questions. Whatever pops into your head is the right answer. So, what is the most played song on your phone or iPod or whatever you use?
So lately, it's been Kisi Shayar Ki Ghazal, Dream Girl. I don't know. Once in a
Okay.
while, I go back on those old songs. This is an Indian song, but yeah, sometimes it's
Okay.
reggae, sometimes it's pop. These days is that.
Eclectic taste. What's your
Yeah,
favorite dish to eat?
Malai kofta.
Okay. Book that you liked.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Very nice book.
Okay. Favorite vacation spot.
Switzerland. Amazing place.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But yesterday we were going around the lake in the South Orange, and we were joking, no, half joking, that the lake and the whole scenery was pretty much like Switzerland right here in our backyard.
You North America, especially Canada and US, I think everything you go, you walk here in our own town, it's a vacation town. It's a dream town. We don't understand the value of it unless you go out to the third world country and come back. Then you realize, oh my God, we are blessed. We are so blessed.
Mhm.
But Switzerland,
Okay,
again, for a different reason.
yeah. Changing gears, let's talk about some of the election issues. So the township is 5 members. There are 4 candidates. You are on the Democratic ticket. How long have you been a Democrat? Is this something that you became passionate about recently, or have you always followed the Democratic platform?
I voted for Hillary Clinton and I got my citizenship here in, I think, 2010 or no, I think 2015. I got my citizenship. And 16, I voted for Hillary Clinton. Some people may hate it, but to me, I feel every Indian that come in here, they are by heart Democrat. And most of the people will jump up now, try to hit me. No, I'm wrong. But if you think about it, Sandeep, we come from a country that we don't allow guns. There are special licenses that you have to go and take it. And we are all for live and let live. So abortion for us is very personal choice. So when we talk about Republican values, it is about having guns. It is about against abortion. When people say, "Oh, I'm fiscally responsible, that's why I'm Republican," well, I don't like that. If in a fund, you can always say revenue and expenses. When you cut revenue and spend is the same, you're going to be bankrupt. In our country, there was only one president who got us out of deficit. And who was that? Clinton. It was Bill Clinton who got us out of the deficit. Now it could be his karma, it could be his luck, it could be anything. But he was the only president who got us out of debt. So now if you keep printing money and keep flooding in and you don't want to raise taxes, well, okay, but that's not being fiscally responsible. You need to make sure we overall balance those things out. I'm very fiscally responsible. I Melbourne, shorters in itself, is such an affluent town. If you're not being fiscally responsible, you wouldn't be in this town. So just giving that reason to be a Republican, I don't think so. So they say, oh, I'm fiscally responsible, socially, I'm open. Well, guess what? Then you're not a Republican.
Okay. So you think the view on the social elements is what attracted you to the Democratic platform? That's what you resonate with, and that's how this journey began.
Yes, I
Well,
was
it's
Democrat in India too.
okay.
Very open, very to each their own.
Got it. Understood. Um, the uh, I guess you said it right up front in terms of saying that you were a little unsure about whether you should participate or not. And I've heard that in some of the comments that were there made to me. Is there any reason for you to feel that on the ideas basis, there is something to be gained by avoiding a debate? Or that's something that your opponents bring up, and I believe there were, I don't know, one or two opportunities for you to debate which got cancelled. So how did that come about, and what's your view on that?
Okay, let me first clarify. There was nothing, never ever a confirmation from our end that got canceled last minute. It's all
Okay.
bogus. We never had said yes to anything that we did not participate in. So, and so was your conversation when you tried to schedule with us. It was never that we canceled and then we got in. In fact, that worked out. If you have clearly, if you friend in a friendly way, if you ask me, that has worked better for our opponents because I think we did a great job on both the debates. It's not that they didn't do a great job; they did great job too. But I think with the analysis that I got, and I'm biased probably, I think Democrat did a better job there. But campaign strategy is a campaign strategy. If we believe in one-on-one, we did in a week's time, we did 5 to 7 every week, work week. We did 5 to 7 Zoom calls, meet and greets. We believe in one-on-one interaction. I think you can spend more quality time with people where they can ask you a question directly and can get an answer. Or if they have issues that we can focus on resolving it, we would like that. Now, last thing I want to know or want to do is something in the campaign that my opponents want to do for us to do. Oh, that doesn't
Mhm.
work that way. So
Sure.
our strategy is our strategy. We have to stick with that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I guess, well, you're here now, and thank you for making the time. And I appreciate that both you and Maggie did make yourself available. So let's go through the two or three things that we have been talking about in this election for the township. First
Sure.
one is the affordable housing. Now, I did listen to your other debates, so I would like to take it forward from there. And I think I've recapped it earlier as well. I think everybody knows there is a requirement for the township to build some units. When you talked about it, you had mentioned that there was no plan filed till 2017
15.
and therefore we got into some trouble, and you would like to take control of the situation. How does that work given that the phase 3 requirements have not been clear for some time, and I think people have been trying? How does one take control of the situation, and what in your mind are the elements of taking control?
So, Sandeep, I think very good platform to talk about. Uh, when I said we did not file it, the period for fair share housing was from 2015 to 2025. And we did not file in 2015. 2014, McCallie came in and they were able to get in only because we didn't have a plan. After McCallie, and even if we would have filed in 15, McCallie still would have come in because they came in before the plan was filed. But at least the Woodland project wouldn't be the talk of the town right now.
Hmm?
And There is another thing that we heard is, can you take 5 years of the current Democratic Party in the office? Let's clarify that too. Last 148 years, maybe a couple of years in the middle could be Democratic. 100, more than 100 years, it has been Republican Party. So if they can take that much, yeah, of course, 5 years or another 50 years could be Democratic Party. Again, is the value of what you believe in. But people are still there. They have very individual thought. So going back to affordable housing question, if we would have filed in 2015, we wouldn't be talking about all this right now. We got to be proactive. Now, we talk about different plans. Well, guess what? Our master plan with the overlay on the affordable housing has already been submitted. Yes, there are only 17 affordable housing right now, but 17 only for open land and lots. So the master plan is for everything. Our town is well developed. So in that well-developed town, whatever the open land is, there are only 17 units that you can put in place. But
So with the
as
current plan, Sanjeev, sorry to butt in here. I know there are 17 plans, and even the existing requirement is much larger than that on the phase two requirement. What how do you really get a hold of it? And maybe you can clarify for people, what are the consequences if you don't have an active plan? And secondly, if you were elected, how do you get to that plan? We are fully developed. What are the elements of that plan in your mind?
so, we're I'm we are talking about affordable housing, how we are going to fulfill, and there's second phase, first phase, third phase. But let me tell you this: we're in the negotiation phase. First, second, and third is out the window. This is the master plan. This is Milburn. This is all we have. Where can we put? What can we put? So when the negotiation is done and it comes out, it will be not just in the number, it will also be where what is going to go. It could be now, it could be, say, for example, DPW, we talked about in the last two meetings as well. That DPW should be taken from out from there and maybe put in a senior living there. That could be 3 years down, that could be 2 years down, that could be right now. But in negotiation, these guys are negotiating on all those things. So when the negotiation is out, you will have your number and you will also have the plan where what you're going to do. If we don't do that, again, builders can come in and screw us over. So as long as those negotiations are done, and hopefully by the time we come in office, those negotiations are already done or on the verge of getting completed. We need
It's
to
that
think.
imminent, the negotiations. Who is the negotiation with? Who is the party that has to agree with your plan?
Great
Isn't it
questions,
a
right?
court
So
mandated plan?
no. So it's a court person. Our Judge Gardner is only one judge who takes all the cases around here. He has appointed a representative. So that guy is leading this conversation. Then there's a rep from Fair Share Housing. Then our township planner is there. Then our two TC members are in the negotiation. And then a bunch of lawyers are in the negotiation. So all of these people are sitting down together, going over each and every lot and land for the master plan and going over what could be the case, what could be the, and there are a lot of 17 is the open places, but then there is already recommendations put in by the planner or the planning commission that made that master plan, what can be done. Like, there's an ideology that was, or there's a thing that was brought in as a commuter town or not commuter town, transit village. They
Yeah.
they got that overall idea where instead of putting in new buildings, they were trying to say that make it as, in our township, we have 32 feet long allowable space in our housing here. In the downtown, it's 29. So they were trying to make it as 32 so you can make 3 floors. So 3 floors, one could be retail, the other two could be housing. Now, generally what you think is when people are close to the train station, they are generally people who come in there, live, they work, they take the commute to the city and come back. So most of the time, again, I'm not saying this is a study done, But majority of the time, these guys are without kids, so they're not putting any pressure on the school. And since they're close to the train station and close to the downtown, chances of them having multiple cars are also less. Or maybe having one car is also very less because they may just end up renting and leaving. So those very good recommendations and suggestions are already in the master plan. Now, whatever thing that we are thinking through, this is a great idea that convert the apartment complex here or try that. Well, our opponents talks about this. They also say, yeah, but there needs to be a feasibility study, how much money is going to be spent there. So those are great ideas for 2025 and 2035. We need another plan. But it's not going to be that these guys come back with 2,000 units that we need to make when our town is already fully developed and we don't have any place to produce. So there has to be all these affordable housing questions comes around when there's elections going on. Once the election gets done, nobody talks about it. So it's more of a fear mongering to me. 2 years ago, we submitted a plan. We still haven't gotten the number, but we got immunity from builders coming in now.
Okay.
So it's
So
a
in
bigger
your mind,
conversation. Sorry.
there is no immediate threat that the town has. We are protected till 2025, and you think that the existing path we are on will yield. I thought the plan only got up to 299, and the deficit could be as much as 800 to 1600.
No,
Maybe
I
that's
think
few years.
you've taken me wrong, Sandeep. I'm not saying that we don't have anything to produce till 2025. I'm saying whatever the negotiation will come out, that plan is from 2015 to 2025. So whatever comes out of that plan, we need to produce that until 2025. But then again, the next 10-year cycle starts,
Sure,
2025 to 2035. We need to start planning towards that too. We got to be
sure,
proactive there.
sure. Got it. Okay. Moving on to the next topic. This one actually is, I'm going to use your expertise. I think all four of you agree that there should be no marijuana dispensary in town. However, I would love to understand your view overall on marijuana. It's also a ballot proposal that's there on the New Jersey ballot. What is your view on it? Should people support it or not?
Look, to each their own. I have not supported it. I'm a I learned this firsthand. The thing is, people don't understand, or maybe if I'm not in that industry, even I didn't understand it. I was all for it when I got in that industry. I was like, oh, this is great. This is non psychoactive. This is better than liquor. It doesn't kill you. It's better than any other drugs because there is no sign anybody got killed with this. But guess what? All the studies in US are all ad hoc. Since it's a substance one on the federal level, you cannot do any research or clinical trials within the country. And if you do it, you will stop getting federal grants. Banks that can deposit this money needs to be within the same state that you're doing the business in. You cannot have Bank of America doing deposits for all these. Until about 2 years ago, even hemp was that way. Now, 2 years ago, the agriculture bill came in. Hemp was made available earlier. What you bought from Whole Foods, or if you were using hemp in some other things, that was imported from Canada. Now you could actually grow hemp and sell it. So it is federally allowed. Now, similarly, I think it should be allowed federally so there could be enough studies done, enough clinical trials done, so you can use this as a medicine if that is again, if the study says, yeah, that's right. And then sell it through Walgreens, through regular CVS. Why do we have to have a separate marijuana dispensary for that? Now, another thing
So you
also,
think
one
it's
thing to think
too
about on this is liquor. When you drink, you're having one drink, you're having two drinks. You know that if you have more than two drinks or 10 drinks based on your capacity, you're going to be sloshed. In this, it's a vapor or vape format. It goes in and goes hit directly your blood stream, and that goes directly in the brain. From one puff, you could be completely out, depending on what strain you're smoking. And what strain are we smoking? We are saying that strain is, there are two strains, or not two strains, two substance, major substance, THC and CBD. THC that gets you stoned, CBD that makes you feel good again, based on those ad hoc studies. So if you by mistake took the one, and by default 99.3% or 99.7% in a marijuana plant, it's all THC. Everything else, other terpenes are very less. Now, over a period of time, there are different strains that has brought CBD as a higher number. I worked with a guy, if you Google Stanley Brothers, they made Charlotte's Web as the first medicine for a little kid. I worked with one of the brothers, and traveled with him throughout. I went to even India with him. And just to kind of see him and work with him and understand more and more, earlier days, I said I was all for it. Then slowly I realized the reality of it. I'm not against it, but it needs to be rightly regulated.
Okay. Thank you. I think we are running a little over time, so quickly ask my last question, which is again, I think on a tricky topic that has become a bit of a hot rod around social divide and how people who, and I think a lot of people, including your platform, believe in Black Lives Matter and that it is a systematic issue that the country needs to address. And I think that is, a lot of people will agree with it, and certainly within our town, there is support for it. My question is slightly different. My question is for the few people or whatever number of people who don't agree with it, or maybe want to put another view in along with it, whether it's Blue Lives Matter or if it is too charged, something else that, cops are also doing a good job. Certainly, the president makes a very vocal defense of the security forces. How do we treat such folks who hold that kind of a view and accommodate them to be able to live in the town while holding that view? Is it possible? Is it advisable? How do we deal with it?
Very loaded question, Sandeep. And I will take a analogy, business analogy here, and then I will come back to the real analogy, if you may, or if I may. So, thing is, you're in a fund, I'm in a fund. When we go into a company, there's a CFO who sits right there. There's a brand manager asking for $100,000. There's an operation guy asking for $100,000. And there's a sales guy asking for $100,000. He only has $100,000. And he will have to pick and choose what to do. And he will try to do it where it's most needed. It's not that the other doesn't need that. It's not that the police needs or doesn't need it. They need it. But it's what is required the most. Even in India, we had a reservation system for people who couldn't perform or who were really from a poor background. So in this case here, blacks have been facing that racism forever and ever. We need to put that behind us. Now, does the police not matter? Absolutely, they matter. And police in Melbourne is great. They could be actually a role model for other polices as well. But for few people, if they keep talking about and if they don't want to change their mindset, guess what? If there are 75% of the people says Biden will be the next president, Biden will become the next president, the other 20% needs to sit quietly and look at that. But this town, we have so many different races. Even in our own community, we have faced racism. That in itself is unacceptable. And I'm saying not from just hypothetical reason here. I have actually been approached by one of the community member, and our mayor did a terrific job in handling that. So if we can face racism, think about those black people who have been facing those racism forever. So I feel that you cannot make everyone happy, but the first thing first is if you're thinking of township first and keep your ego on the side, you can do much better and it'll be easier to make those decisions.
All right. Thank you, Sanjeev. Last question is your brief statement on what do you stand for, your essence, and why should people support you?
Hey, if other people wants to do the public service more, they're welcome to. What I stand for is you need to have integrity. You need to make sure you're thinking of the township first. And if you're content inside that you're ready to work for others, I think that's what you need to do. I'm an honest and a hardworking person. Wherever you put me, I'll keep doing that same thing over and over and over again. But to each their own, everybody has their own mindset. They pick and choose what they like. But all I can say is I'm here to do my best.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Sanjeev. All the best. And thank you for your service and volunteer and active participation in civic life.
Sandeep, thank you so much for the opportunity. And thank you all for out there who's